It's not Adil Rashid, the Yorkshireman, I wanted to talk to you about, though. It's another Yorkshireman, Harry Brook. When was the first time you saw Harry Brook bat, Goughy?
Oh, well, I've seen him.
What were your thoughts?
I've seen him a few years ago as a youngster. They tried him, didn't they, up top? Didn't really work. But unbelievable talent. I'd heard so much about him. But when I saw him for the first time in nets, I went, oh, my word. First thing I did was look at his contract. Sure, but he only had 1 year left. We soon changed that. I remember going to the chief executive at the time and saying, look, I know we struggling financially and stuff, but one thing you've got to do is get this lad on a 5-year contract. And he looked at me like, not happening. I said, it's happening. It has to happen, because if you don't, you'll lose him, because every county is going to want this player. He signed it, thankfully, persuaded his agent, and the player never wanted to leave. It's Yorkshire's through and through, right? But he signed a 5-year deal. Waste of time, really, because we never saw him. England picked him up about 6 weeks later after he got 700 runs in the first 5 championship games, and I've not seen him since.
Well, it's interesting because Johnny Bairstow was batting at 5 for England at the time, and obviously Joe Root's in there as well. And one of the BBC commentators, I remember at the time, before Brook had made his debut, actually, and this must have been either the year or the year after that Johnny Bairstow scored all those runs at Trent Bridge. It might even have been the year. Yeah. It was the South Africa test, last test of the summer, and Bairstow got injured, I think. And I remember hearing the BBC commentator, Jonathan Dooge, I think it was, saying he would pick Harry Brook in the England side ahead of Johnny Bairstow, which at the time sounded absolutely incredible.
Oh, it's not. If you saw him play, a couple of examples. You watch him in indoor nets, right? And the way he hits the ball, I used to grab a chair and just sit and watch him, because I've never seen anybody strike a cricket ball like him. This is in indoor nets when he was preparing to play, because he always comes and practices. He practices hard. He loves the game. He just loves cricket. He loves netting. He loves batting. He loves throwdowns. He just loves everything about batting. He doesn't want to do anything but bat. I know he can bowl them filthy little things he's got, but it's all about batting for him. He just wants a bat in his hand. The second one, we were playing at Root was batting with him in a partnership, and he came to the crease, and you've seen it doing it with England. He came to the crease, and Joe Root got out. Joe Root got 60, I think. Harry Brook went on to get 150. And when Joe got out, he come and sat with me. I think he was at Bristol. He sat with me and said, he just made me look average in that innings. I said I would embarrass batting with him because he made me look ordinary. And we all know Joe Root is not ordinary. He's England's best ever player, right?
Quite the opposite.
And he's saying this about Harry Brook, who had not been in the game 2 minutes at that level, and he said he's making me look very, very ordinary. And Joe, being Joe, it wasn't said seriously. It was said, he laughs and jokes about it, because he said the same thing. He is just an unbelievable talent who hits the ball so well. But when he first goes through the crease, you've seen what he does. Even today, have you seen how late he plays it? It's amazing. He just watches it right onto the bat and just opens the face a little bit, tries to get it down to third man. Amazing talent. Amazing.
I was fortunate enough to be at Wellington for the innings he produced for England. Now, he's come into that series. He'd hit a century at Christchurch. He'd hit 300 against Pakistan. The innings at Wellington, for me, I've seen a few of his innings. That stands up there. I mean, I think England was 70 for 4. There might be less. It might be 48 for 4. Ball was doing all sorts. And he just played an extraordinary innings. And it wasn't a risky innings. Some of the stroke play was audacious. You know, he's hitting straight over extra cover for 6.
That's one of his areas. His 2 areas are, for me, which I think it's embarrassing when you're bowling at him and see bowlers running in at 90 miles an hour, and he just clips that one off his hip, lifts it off his hip. He plays that as good as anyone I've ever seen in the game. And the one you've just described, where he gives himself that little bit of room and he hits it over extra cover. He don't need to, when he's doing that, he doesn't do it to hit a 4. He hits 6s over extra cover. Now, he's not a big, strong fella, is he? You don't look at him and think, Pollard. No. You don't look at him and think he's going to hit the ball out the ground. But he hits it as good as anyone. He's got long levers, he's got a lovely bat lift, nice smooth stroke through the ball. and he just hit 6 after 6. There's no ground bigger. Saying that, the only place he's still got to conquer, I think in his head as well, is Australia. And the way he struggled in the Big Bash, because the boundaries are probably bigger than some of the other countries he's played in. And he used to get caught out in the deep. But he's learning all the time. And I still think there's another level. Because I think he's got stuck a little bit with this format of cricket and the way they're playing. A bit like Joe Root did. He's a bit more expansive than Joe Root. He likes to play a lot more different shots. But I think he goes too early. If we can get him, just calm down a little bit, get himself in, and then play the shots he can play, we're going to see an even better Harry Brook, which you would almost think is impossible. But it's there, I'm telling you.
He hasn't cracked India, though. I mean, you say that it's only Australia. Abhishek, what's the Indian perspective coming out of India about Harry Brook? He's had one season at Sunrisers, and of course...
He got an unbelievable 100, though, didn't he? But he was messed around there with Brian. Brian didn't quite know how to use him. Brian had never seen him play. 1 minute he's at 4, then he's at 5, then he's opening a batting. You know, he didn't use him probably in his best position. Saying that, he got 100 opening the batting, didn't he? But that's not his best position. And he was in and out, and... yeah, there's a lot of things happening, I think, at that time in his personal life with his grandparents and stuff like that. So, if he goes out to the IPL, which is down to play, isn't it? I think he's going to have a good IPL.
Abhishek, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think, Steve, we all know that he's a special talent. Some of the players we can name in world cricket who's going to be the future of world cricket, and we're all going to enjoy them watching for the next 10, 15 years, and he's definitely among one of those. But only thing with Indian cricket and what we have seen in this tour so far in India, that he's got to find a few more shots against spin. Fast bowling is never going to be an issue for Harry Brook. It's just about finding a few more shots against spin, not just take those easy options, sweep and reverse sweep, which we have seen from all England batters in this series. And he has all the ability. He's got all the shots over cover we were talking about. That's one of the best shots you could play against spin in India with the turn. So I'm sure it's still very early, very young in his career. He's not spent that much time in India. I think this IPL, when he goes there, he'll be a changed cricketer. What he'll learn being among some of the best Indian talent, and what he will watch and what he will learn with those pitches, how to bat against those top quality spin, because he's going to face a lot of that for 7 or 8 weeks. I think that will change him as a cricketer.
What about captaincy then? We kind of touched on it earlier today, didn't we? He doesn't, I don't know him well. He doesn't. It's not like one of these players that comes through and you think, yeah, there's a captain there.
Agree. I absolutely agree 100% with you. But I think he's put himself in a position now where the brand of cricket that's being played is names thrown around. England obviously want him to do that job, or they wouldn't have told the Superchargers. I think it's come from them to give him the captaincy, so he gets some experience. So it's not one of them situations where, well, he's never captain, stick him in. But I think by getting that experience, I think England definitely want to use him, and the brand of cricket they are currently playing, he is suited to it. But I would agree with you, he's not someone you look at him around the dressing room and think natural captain. But I think he'll do a good job.
Graham Swan's out in India commentating for TV. I remember when Joe Root was made captain, and Graham Swan was quite against the idea. He didn't want the captaincy to essentially take away the cheeky chappy. I think that's how he described Joe Root. You know, he was a character within the dressing room.
He is.
And Graham Swan felt that by making him captain, you were going to force him to become someone that wasn't naturally. You know, he wasn't naturally that authoritative.
I think it did with Joe. It changed probably Joe a little bit, without a doubt, the captaincy. But we've all seen his personality. You only have to watch some of the games in the SA20 and you see the dressing room. Most of the stuff coming out of the dressing room is of Joe Root. He's a leader in that dressing room, and he's such a personality. Harry Brook is a happy-go-lucky, enjoys his time, enjoys being with his friends a lot, but he's not the same personality as Joe. It's a totally different. He's a bit deeper than Joe. Do you know where I'm coming from? He's a little bit deeper. So I can see him developing into a good captain and being able to be the captain, the same person he is, because he has his friends, But with cricket, it's been his main focus. He's quite balanced, you know. He doesn't go from one extreme to the other. Joe wants to have fun, and you've seen now Joe's having the best fun of his career probably now, and he looks like he's back to his very, very best.
Abhishek, you know, having watched and enjoyed Joe Root's career for such a long time, it's been, 12 years now, the fact that Harry Brook's been mentioned so comfortably in the same breath as Joe Root, does that surprise, or do you agree?
Not really. The first time I ever saw him play, yeah, you could straight away. The difference with good players and players who are going to turn into great players is simple. They have more time. And it's very hard to explain what we mean by saying that player has more time. And we saw Rohit, the likes of Abhishek Sharma, Shubman Gill. I'll throw in a few names. You see them and you see them having more time than other players. And that's what separates them from good players and between good players and great players. And he has a lot more time. And the moment you see that, you know he's a special talent. So, yeah, if you compare him to Joe Root, I think he can live up to that expectation. Absolutely, yes. But still, he's very young. He's going to develop. He's going to take time. And batters take a bit more time at times. Someone matures very quickly, like Virat matured very early in his career. And some batters take a bit more time to mature over the period. But he's got everything you require as a batter to be out there as a great.
Did you see last pre-season, knowing his grandmother passed, and he went and played a game for Yorkshire pre-season, and nobody could believe it. I mean, you can imagine what the wickets were like in March, right? He rocks up in March and he plays this innings. He gets 140 in about 75 balls in March. I can't think of one other person that could play that in England. I honestly can't. But I agree, there's still a long way to go, and we are getting a bit carried up. We do make out he's going to be the next Joe Root. Joe Root is unbelievable player. We talk about Smith, Williamson, and Root are the best three at the moment. Virat Kohli would be in there if he won for the last 2 or 3 years. He's just slipped, hasn't he? 5 years.
5 years, he's got 200s and averaging 30.
I'm absolutely amazed, because I remember when I first saw Virat Kohli, and I thought, wow, I never thought I'd see another Tendulkar, but I thought, well, this is as good as it's going to get. But the last 5 years there's been a slip. But the Smith, the Williamson and Root, the consistency over many, many years is outstanding, and let's not undervalue how good they are. Now, Harry Brook, a big mountain to follow. Can he be as good as Joe? We all want him to be. But he's going to have still a long way to go to be as good as him and consistent to him over the years.